Today, we're going to tackle a condition with a really long name, Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia. Now, I know, getting a diagnosis like that can feel, well, overwhelming. So our goal here is to break it all down into clear, understandable pieces. Let's get right into it. Here's our roadmap. First, we'll cover the basics, what WM actually is and how it affects your body. Then we're going to talk about something that might surprise you, the watch and wait strategy. After that, we'll walk through the modern treatment options and wrap up with how doctors measure success. Let's jump in. All right, so first things first, what exactly is Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia? Okay, that's a mouthful, I know. But here's the deal. At its core, WM is a rare type of blood cancer, specifically a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It starts in your B cells, which are a critical part of your immune system. But honestly, the most important phrase on this slide is slow growing. That one fact changes everything because it shapes the entire way we approach this disease. You know, the best way to get your head around this is with an analogy. So picture your healthy B cells as this super sophisticated factory. The main job of this factory? To produce a whole variety of antibodies. Think of them like specialized tools designed to fight off any germ or virus your body bumps into. So with Waldenstrom's, something in that factory goes haywire. One single assembly line kind of breaks down and gets stuck on repeat. So instead of making all those different, useful antibody tools, it just starts churning out massive quantities of one single big, clunky protein called IgM. That overproduction is really the root of the whole problem. And when we say this is rare, we mean really rare. We're talking only about 1,500 new cases in the entire US each year. Now, that might feel a little isolating, but what it also means is there's this incredibly dedicated community of doctors and researchers who are laser focused on this one specific disease. So, you've got this factory that's overproducing this one faulty protein. How does that actually cause problems in the body? Well, it really boils down to two main issues. The first problem happens deep inside your bone marrow. See, normally, your bone marrow is this bustling hub producing all the different blood cells you need to be healthy. But in WM, those cancerous B cells start to multiply and they just crowd out everything else. There's literally less room for your body to make the red cells, the healthy white cells, and the platelets that you absolutely depend on. The second problem is kind of wild, and it's caused by that IgM protein itself. Because IgM is such a big, bulky molecule, having way too much of it can literally make your blood thicker. It becomes more like syrup than water. The technical term is hyperviscosity, and it just makes it harder for your blood to flow. I mean, think about trying to pump honey through a tiny straw instead of water. That's the idea. Now, this brings us to what is often the most confusing, and frankly, the most surprising part of managing WM. It's a strategy that feels completely backwards when you hear the word cancer. Just think about it for a second. If you get a cancer diagnosis, what's the first question on your mind? It's probably, okay, when do we start treatment? When do we start fighting this? And most of us, we'd assume the answer is right now. But believe it or not, with WM, that's almost never the case. Because it's so slow growing, it offers something incredibly precious in the world of cancer, the luxury of time. This means doctors can and should monitor the situation without immediately jumping to therapy. And this right here is the crucial takeaway. Treatment isn't triggered by the diagnosis alone or just the blood test numbers. It's based on symptoms. Doctors wait until the disease is actually causing real, tangible problems. And why do they do that? Because studies have shown that treating too early doesn't actually help people live longer, and it just exposes them to the side effects of treatment for no real benefit. So what kind of symptoms are we talking about? Well, doctors are looking for clear signs of trouble. It could be problems from that thick, syrupy blood we mentioned. It could be a big drop in your blood counts. In fact, anemia is the single most common reason to start therapy. Or it could be other things that really impact your quality of life, like crushing fatigue, drenching night sweats, or nerve damage. Okay, so once those symptoms do appear and the doctor says, all right, it's time to act, what are the options? Let's take a look at the incredible modern toolkit that's available to treat WM today. The really good news here is that the treatment toolkit is incredibly diverse. You've got the established workhorses like chemotherapy and immunotherapy, but you also have these newer, really precise approaches. These so-called targeted therapies are a total game changer. They're designed to attack the cancer cells more specifically, which often means fewer side effects. Having this much variety is just fantastic because it lets doctors personalize a plan that's right for you.
And these treatments can be given in different ways too. Some are for fixed periods, say a few months of infusions. Others might be a daily pill that you take continuously. But no matter what the approach is, the goal is always, always the same. Control the disease so you can improve your quality of life.
So once the treatment starts, how do you actually know if it's working? Let's dig into what success or response really means when we're talking about WM. You're going to hear your doctor use the word response, and it's not some vague concept. It's a very defined scale. Now, a complete response, where there's no detectable disease left, that's obviously the dream. But even a partial response is a huge win. Getting that harmful IgM protein level to drop by more than half, that is a major victory, and it tells you the treatment is doing its job. Here's another key term you'll hear a lot, especially when talking about clinical trials: progression-free survival, or PFS. What this really means is the amount of time after your treatment that you get to live with the disease, but it's stable. It's not getting any worse. Making that period of stability, that PFS, last for as long as possible, that is a massive goal of therapy. So look, while a cure for Waldenstrom's isn't here just yet, the big picture is that this is a highly treatable disease. The goal has really shifted to managing it as a chronic condition, much like you'd manage high blood pressure, allowing people to live long, full, high-quality lives. And that's only possible because the research is moving so fast, constantly adding new and better tools to that treatment toolkit. And all of this leads to a final, and I think a really hopeful question. As our understanding of the basic biology of WM gets deeper and today's clinical trials keep pushing forward, how will that shape the future? It's transforming the outlook for this disease into a story of long-term management, hope, and truly personalized care. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.